How's it going, guys? As most of you know, I am attorney Michael Eline, and I am an attorney licensed in California and Texas. I primarily do personal injury claims for my livelihood, but I started out doing appellate law, and my background is civil rights and criminal defense. But you also have to pay your bills, and criminal law required me to be in court all the time, like every single day, and that prevented me from being able to answer my phone and do marketing. Which is how you are able to get more cases. You got to be out there and do marketing. And I didn't want to work for a big firm. So that's how I got my start. And I became a lawyer on the California State Bar Law Office Study Program. So I became a lawyer with no undergrad or law degree. My background is an honorably discharged, disabled U.S. Marine. And from there, I grew up in the construction business with my father, who built pretty much every Denny's restaurant in the United States. He was also a Marine. And so I learned how to be a blue collar guy and how to give a firm handshake and how to look a person in the eye. And so a lot of people hire me, especially bikers, because of my background, because they know that I'm personable and I don't have the holier than thou lawyer attitude that most people hate. So just to give you a little idea about who I am and what I do, and just really quick here. And so because of that, I just ended up doing this YouTube channel, and I pretty much cover everything except for what I do for a living that has to do with the law. And I have quite a few people now who have joined my program and support me. And so yeah, Race Gas, good seeing you. So I'm just going to say hi to all my people in my team MPE. That's what we call Team MPE, because I'm Michael Paul Eline. And so good seeing you, Race Gas and Age Go. Jody Shiloh, thank you so much. And as always, guys, super chats are always appreciated. And anybody who wants to purchase my book about how I became a lawyer with no, here, I'll just show it to you. So this is the soft cover version of the book that I sell online. I actually sell a digital version of this book for $19.99. My journey to becoming a practicing lawyer with no law degree or undergrad. And I just walk you through the process of how I did it in California. And I talk about a few of the other states that offer programs like that. And I will also sort of help guide you through. And it's a living ebook. So as I provide updates, it'll automatically go to your version, your ebook that you have. So, you know, as the California Law Office Study Program changes, or other states offer law office study programs, I'll talk about that. And I also talk a little bit about the Knights Templar and how they actually housed the first lawyers in the world, basically, that were outside of the clergy. So before that, it was the clergy, it was the Pope and the Catholic Church that had lawyers. They didn't call them necessarily lawyers, but they were the only real lawyers. And then ultimately, the common man started getting their own lawyers, and that sort of evolved in England. And that's where the term common law comes from. It literally means law for the common man or the common person. That's literally the name common law. So you already learned something tonight that probably 99% of the world doesn't know, that common law simply means a law for the commoner. So the king had his own law, the King's Bench, and then the Pope had his law, his lawyers, and there were no lawyers for commoners. And so the first lawyers were commoners, common law lawyers, and that's where the term comes from. And where they were housed, were at the Temple Inn by the Knights Templar, because they were kicked out of London. And so to get into the temple, you had to cross a chain, and they called that the bar. And that's where we think that the term passing the bar comes from. But it also has to do with passing the bar past that little vestibule area to get in to see where the judge is. So there's a lot to it. And I cover it on my lawofficestudy.net website for you guys. But Jeff, it's really cool to see you. And Jody Shiloh, I'm super happy to have you. And tonight's show, it's a Friday night, so I don't know if we're going to have a lot of people tonight or not. But I hope we do, because this is going to be a cool show. It's about, do I really have to show my ID to cops? And I'm going to do some reaction videos. We're going to talk about it a little bit. So first thing I want to tell you guys is everything that I discuss on my show, don't take it as legal advice. I'm only licensed to practice law in California and Texas. And so when I talk about the law, I'm talking about general legal principles. Okay. So make sure you understand that. Do not try this at home kind of stuff, guys. Like if you're going to go out there, oh my gosh, Jeff, thank you so much. Jeff just hit me up with a super chat. I think it's a super chat. Everybody make sure to reply to Jeff like I'm going to do right now. I'm saying thank you, Jeff, because that's how you guys support my show and make it possible for me to keep coming on here. Even though it's not a lot, it motivates me because yeah, I could be working on cases, but then I wouldn't get the spiritual satisfaction of being able to help people, because I really, really feel terrible that people get led astray by really bad lawyers with major egomaniac problems. And so I try to be a common law lawyer, a commoner for the common man, and try to help people. And I get a lot of satisfaction. Thank you, Jeff. I get a lot of satisfaction from helping people because when I was, going through a lot of legal issues, most of the when I got beat up by a West Covina cop because I asked him to show me his photo ID over a parking ticket back in like 96, it was really hard for me to find someone to help me, and nobody believed me. That's before they had the cell phone camera thing. So luckily I had a lot of witnesses, but even then the witnesses that saw it automatically they think the cop's in the right, and that's a huge problem that we have to resolve. And so I'm hoping on my show that I can help people understand that, cops are people too, and they're trained to take control. And if they have a bad chief or bad politicians, which I think most politicians are scumbags, then the cops are going to be a product of that. And irrespective of whether or not they took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution, most of them don't even know what the Bill of Rights says. And now we have illegal aliens becoming cops who have no loyalty to our country or our way of life. They're just being brought up here by the government, given free hotels, free food, free everything, and now they're letting them become cops. So, of course, they're going to be loyal to the people who are giving them your money at your expense, and it's not going to be you. So it's a real big deal. That's why I believe in legal immigration, where people are vetted. They have to take a test. They have to swear an oath to the Constitution after they learn about it, right? They have to take a test in order to become a citizen in this country, a legal citizen. You have to learn about the Bill of Rights and our founding fathers. And obviously the current administration doesn't want anybody to know about our founding fathers. Their college professors and their bought and paid for lapdog media are teaching kids that our founding fathers are, since they had slaves, that they were no good. And obviously that's being done because they want to discredit the Bill of Rights, because the World Economic Forum and guys like George Soros and Bill Gates are trying to form a one world government, a globalist style government where there are no freedoms or rights unless it's for them. And that's basically the model of how the king had it. They're like sort of the stakeholders in the new king. The new king would be probably the King of England for all we know. We know that he's a big time stakeholder in the World Economic Forum as well. And of course, as Americans, as patriots and revolutionaries who hold on to our traditions and heritage, especially me, I want to make sure that you understand that everybody owned slaves back at that time. And that's no reason to hate people like Thomas Jefferson. Everybody had them. Kunta Kinte had slaves. Black people had slaves. White people had slaves. That's no reason to hate them. You need to judge people based upon the traditions and the history of those times. And yes, over time, because of that Constitution and that Bill of Rights, slavery was ultimately ended in this country, and all of those rights, privileges, and immunities were extended to everyone. And so I just want to get that out of the way before we get into the show too much. And then looks like we have MW2313 joining me tonight. So thanks for showing up, MW2313. And Kid of Doom, Mama Lion, thanks again. And Mama Lion's always been a loyal supporter, as well as Jody Shiloh. So I'm super happy. By the way, guys, make sure to tell me if I've got good sound, good comms, because last time a lot of people were complaining and I wasn't paying enough attention to the audience. I was getting too emotional about what was going on with our government flooding the country with illegals and this child trafficking operation that they're paying almost $500 million a year to have our government with the help of non-governmental organizations that your tax dollars are paying for, to bring unaccompanied minors, I think 1,000 a day, into our country. And we have no idea where these kids are going. And being a father and having, kids, it just makes me sick. So I wasn't really paying a lot of attention to the sidebar. And I think that Jeff had even given me a super chat and I didn't notice it until later. But again, anybody who gives me a super chat or buys a copy of my book, the ebook version of this, My Journey to Becoming a Practicing Lawyer with No Law Degree or Undergrad, automatically goes to the front of the line on comments. And some of you guys who have supported my channel have asked me several questions that I'm going to try to answer in a general way. Again, I'm not going to give legal advice, but I'm going to answer general legal principles in a lawyer-like fashion if I can. And again, I've been up since about 0400 today. So I'm really tired. So I may slur a little bit, but I'm not drinking. Don't think that I'm on drugs or alcohol. I'm not. I'm just extremely tired and burned out. But, it's a Friday too. So it's a drag day for me. So I'm really, really grateful that everybody showed up to support my channel tonight. And I also want to remind you guys that going to vote, by the way, at the last minute means that you're going to be subjected to those voting machines. So I recommend that if you're going to vote, write out your ballot with blue ink and go to the polling place and make sure you drop it in the box so it doesn't get scanned through one of those machines. I don't trust those voting machines. There's all kinds of reports of them changing and changing the vote. And we know that they're not changing the votes based on the stories we've heard to Trump. So obviously it's skewed towards one party, allegedly, by the reports that we're seeing on the news. And we know that in Colorado, they were just caught in a voter sting. And apparently several of the votes are going to be counted, even though they were deemed to be fraudulent. So, and they're saying that that's a victory. So I don't see how that's a victory. Give me a bunch of ones if you think it's a disgrace that it's so easy to cheat, that they don't have to show an ID. You have to show an ID for everything. You have to show an ID to cops. Why shouldn't you have to show an ID to vote? You're literally going to be putting someone in office who has their finger on the nuclear trigger, as well as their finger on your tax dollars. So it's something that I want you all to think about as we go through this show, how ridiculous it is that people are saying that we shouldn't have to show an ID to vote. That's absolutely insane. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree. It's almost treasonous to demand that people can just walk in and not show an ID. It's ridiculous. So, and it's just a shame. Yeah, I see. Thanks for all the ones, guys. I think some people are starting to wake up. And then Kyle, so Kyle says he got censored for 24 hours today for leaving a comment about a dash cam insurance fraud thing. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Well, hopefully Jason Fick, he has FYK, follow him on Twitter. He is a promising case against companies, I believe, like Meta and Google, to get Section 230 properly enforced of the Communications Decency Act so they can stop using it as a sword and a shield to censor and to defame people and then say that they're immune from being sued for defamation and stuff like that. When they put bogus and false fact check labels on people's posts, they're engaging in the act of publishing, and they should not be provided with protections of Section 230 for doing that. And this whole scam about third-party independent fact checker, what a joke. These are people, just their political ideologues under vicarious liability principles. It's them. It's the same person. It's Zuck and all of his loser buddies trying to, in my opinion, sway elections. I won't say rig because I don't want to get banned. But since we're talking about IDs, I thought voter IDs would be a good way to start the show out. So basically, first I'll discuss the law, and then we'll get into some reaction videos. So typically, when asked to identify yourself by a police officer, providing your name and showing identification like a driver's license, passport, or state ID is typically going to be expected by the cop, right? We know that. Simply stating you're a good citizen without providing requested identification could lead to a further investigation or an arrest. And we know that my friend Chili De Castro says, identify yourself as good citizen. You can do that. And I'm going to tell you guys, if you do that, you're going to be inviting further scrutiny. So that's why I'm saying I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm just telling you what I know. I know that if you do that to certain cops, you're probably going to get a baton upside your head. And so it's something you have to be really careful with. Now, there in some states, and of course, it depends on the nature of the stop. If you're driving a car, you're going to be expected to show a driver's license, and if you don't, then they have the right to probably arrest you in most states, definitely impound your vehicle, not let you drive it away. So if you come off like a smart aleck, we know that cops have very fragile egos, right? So if you do that, there's a high probability that they're going to do all that stuff. And so context matters. Yeah, the circumstances, for which you're being asked for ID has a lot to do with it. Now, if they just walk up to you in public and tell you to show an ID, and in most states, I don't think so. But I'm going to get into the different states that do require you to show IDs. Now, whether or not that's constitutional is going to be up to you fighting it. Most people aren't going to have the money to be able to fight it. That's another problem, right? Like, even if you're in the right, are you really going to be able to afford a lawyer or an appellate attorney, or afford to lose your job and your livelihood while you're locked away in Clark County Detention Center? There's very few people I know who can do it, except for guys like Chili DeCastro. And that's why I support him, because I know that he's got the wherewithal to take it all the way, and he's got the balls to do it. So give me a bunch of ones for Chili DeCastro. But for you other guys who haven't made it a full-time job to hold the government accountable, I would suggest that you temper the way you do things to make sure that, if you have a wife and kids, especially, I mean, that's something you got to think about. Every time you go out to be a freedom fighter, you always have to remember your tribe, right? If you're in the warrior class and you're single and you don't have a family that's relying on you for sustenance, obviously you can be more like a Braveheart, right? So there's a lot of things that you need to take into consideration before you go out there and you become a brave or a warrior and step into the warrior class. And so I'm more like a chieftain now. I've had my warrior days. I've had my arrests and detentions and jailings. And now I do have a family. And so now I want to pass on my knowledge to you and the wisdom that I've learned over 20 years of practicing law. And then as a paralegal prior to that, and prior to that as a law clerk, that I've learned. And not just in criminal, but is a well-rounded attorney, having done appellate law, civil law, and criminal law, and everything in between. So you're going to get that knowledge from me without paying me $500 an hour. So, but again, it's not legal advice. So that's the caveat that I have for my show. I just want to look at, hey, Cult of Odin. I love it. Cult of Odin. Well, me being a Viking warrior myself, I love the name Cult of Odin. So everybody give me a bunch of ones for Cult of Odin for such a cool name. That is really cool. So Cult of Odin says no state can require you to show an ID just because you were driving. They still need reasonable articulable suspicion of an infraction. But until enough of us use our Second Amendment to stop them, the tyrants will continue. Well, that's what Cult of Odin says. Cult of Odin says we should resort to the Second Amendment. And I don't know if that's necessarily the right approach always, but I think there is a point where, so you have 4 different boxes. You have the soapbox where you can stand. That's the First Amendment, right? You have the jury box, where where you can go to court and let the jury decide. And then you have the ballot box, where you can vote to change things. And obviously when they use voting machines and half the population doesn't trust the voting machines, half the population doesn't trust the fact that the post office endorsed Kamala Harris, and they're the ones that deliver the mail-in ballots. And they have signs all over the post office saying your mail's not secure. Don't put money in the mail, but yet somehow a vote that billionaires pay millions of dollars to political people, so they can get their guy in office. You don't think you think that's secure? Really? If you do, I got a bridge I want to sell you, especially when they say $1 in an envelope's not secure. And those same people actually, endorsed Kamala Harris. So if you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you. And then the final box that you have is the cartridge box. And so that would be the Second Amendment. So Odin, I love that name, that warrior name, and me being a Viking, me being Swedish and Norwegian, full Viking, I'm all about being a warrior, but I'm also about using wisdom of a chieftain to make sure that we don't have to resort to that final cartridge box. But yes, that is a box that our founding fathers gave us, recognized, didn't give us, but simply recognized that we had an unalienable natural right that came from our creator. And so we have right now we have a battle bigger than ever between the John Locke people like me, people who support the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, and then the Hobbesian people like the Democrats who support an all-powerful government that can decide every aspect of your life, force you to live in a 15-minute city, deny your right to speak, force you to have a social credit score, force you to take certain things into your body, because, to make them feel safe. And so that would be the Hobbesian philosophy, the great Leviathan. And that would be represented by the left, the Marxists, who believe that the government should be able to decide every aspect of your life. And so I'm on the other side. So my philosophy is there's two types of people. There are people who want to be controlled and want to control others, and there's people who don't. And I'm on the side of the people who don't. I believe in that more freedom is better. Less government is more freedom. I believe that we should be electing people who don't like passing laws. I believe that we should be electing people who want to delete laws. And that's why I love Chili DeCastro's name of his channel, Delete Laws. So Mama Lion, I think it's really great to see you here. And good evening to you, Copster 5150. Hey, Michelle Henry. Everybody give a bunch of ones for Michelle Henry. She's one of our newer people on the show. And I'm always grateful to have her here. And she's been a really loyal fan. And she's proven to me that she is worthy of becoming a standard moderator. So everybody give Michelle Henry a bunch of ones. She is now a standard moderator. But remember, with great power, Michelle, comes great responsibility. So the only rule that I really have with moderators, besides just being good people, is don't time out other moderators. If you see a fellow moderator with a wrench, don't do what someone did to Steve Ladner a couple of weeks ago. I had to reach out to Steve Ladner and beg him to come back because I believe that everybody is important. When Jesus violated the Sabbath to rescue a sheep and left all the other ones behind to rescue that one sheep, that's how I feel. I feel when I just lose one of you, and I don't consider you to be part of my flock, but I consider you to be part of the freedom flock. And so I want to keep all you guys as part of this team and keep everybody happy as best I can as a steward of good relations. So the first thing I'm going to do, yay, good seeing you, F. F says, no personal income tax and the Fed, heavily censored, shadow ban, growing viral. President Shiva, 2024, join the worldwide movement. Well, I definitely believe we should end the Fed and the federal income tax. What a disgrace that is. For the first over, I think, 100 years of our country, we didn't need one. We didn't need an income tax. It's basically a way to enslave the populace, in my opinion. But we'll get into it. And thank you, F. E-Line, thank you. Just say Team MPE. And then one of the other things that I'm into is overturning civil asset forfeiture laws. So remember that, guys. We need to overturn that disgraceful civil asset forfeiture law that basically has turned law enforcement and the government against us to try to steal our money at any chance they can get if you're carrying large sums of cash. So another thing we need to work at, OTCAF, overturn civil asset forfeiture laws. Give me a bunch of OTCAFs in the sidebar. So the first video that we're going to get into tonight, guys, now that we've sort of, gone back and forth with the audience climbing and going down, it looks like we're settled in about 200 people now, which is not bad. Not bad, guys. Thanks a lot. 200 people. That's pretty amazing. When I first started, I was lucky to get 10 people in one of my chats. Now it's up to 300. So that's pretty cool. So the first video that I'm going to show you is from a channel called IDRefusal. And so if you look at the description of the video that I'm doing today, I put the link for IDRefusal. I'm asking that all my people, my subscribers, please like and subscribe to IDRefusal's channel. I really think that he's got she has some great content, and I'm going to show you some of it tonight. So I'm going to show you an example of a lawyer who's out filming in public and how this lawyer basically deals with law enforcement and how they deal with him. Because it's another example. I'm going to show you some examples of how Chili DeCastro deals with people. He's much more firm and in your face. And then, of course, you guys know me. I'm more about being, more civil. That's just my personality. But the idea is that God made us all unique. And some people are going to be hard. Some people aren't. some people like me, I was like Chili DeCastro when I first started out, especially being a Marine, but I became tempered after becoming a lawyer and studying under a judge, an appellate justice, and going to the Inns of Court meetings. So I became more tempered over time from learning from jurists and other attorneys, because I realized after seeing people losing it and going crazy in court, they didn't win themselves any favors with the jury. And so I'm inside, I feel just like a Chili or a Braveheart, a true battle hardened warrior. But I've had to temper myself in order to win cases. And I've done that because I want to help other people, not necessarily because I want to help myself, but because I know that I can't be an effective advocate when I'm going out there swinging for the fences. So, and I'm not saying that that's what he does. I think I love his style, and I love it that he's not a lawyer, because he doesn't have to temper himself like I have to. So give me a bunch of ones for Chili DeCastro, and I also put a link to his channel in this description of this live. So and again, since we're in vertical, guys, the only way you can like me, I think, is to double tap the screen. So please do that. Please double tap the screen. And at the end of the show, please, please, please go down to where the regular comment bar is and give me some comments. Give me some OTCAFs. Give me some love. Tell me how you like the show. And also press that square save for later button. That save for later button is a great way to show Google that you love my channel and that you love what I'm doing. And it helps the algorithm know that I'm a good guy and that I'm a good video to show, a good influencer to show. And Flam Dumping, thanks for the ones, man. F, thanks for the ones. And give me a bunch of OTVOs for Overturn Terry versus Ohio. And hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that like and subscribe button. Look, there's no substitute for Chili DeCastro, but I'm trying to be as much like him as I can. So hit that like and subscribe button and give me a bunch of OTCVOs for Overturn Terry versus Ohio. OTVOs, and OTCAFs for overturned civil asset forfeiture laws, which is sort of my thing. My gig is about advocating to overturn civil asset forfeiture laws. And that being said, let's get into our first video of the day. I think we've given it enough time, so let's do it. Let's get into it, guys. And I'll answer questions throughout the show. And again, super chats. If you got questions, go to the front of the line. So here we go.
All right, yourself?
Good. Apparently the armory's all bent out of shape because you're taking pictures or something.
Can I get your name?
It's Sergeant Everett, Hibbing PD.
You have a badge number, Sergeant?
HI 108.
Thank you very much.
What's going on?
By the way, I see a Yankee Doodle Dandy flag, but when he said oot, I was like, man, is this guy from Canada or what, eh? What the heck, oot, eh? Where's this guy from, eh? Get the heck out of here. Is he living in a hoose or what? What the heck is going on, eh? You betcha. Maybe he's from Wisconsin. I don't know, eh?
Exactly what you said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask, is there a specific reason for your...
Well, there's always a reason, but I'm not going to share it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to be on my way. Have a good day.
You're going to stay here for a second.
Are you detaining me?
Yes.
For what reason?
What happens when a videographer is harassed by a bully cop? Watch how this man takes back justice. In the video description, I've shared links to watch the full video. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a 5 in the comments.
And by the way, before it goes any further, we saw Craig Henry there, and Craig Henry, from what I understand, has gotten locked up. And I know that Chili DeCastro has been doing some fundraisers and trying to help out his family. I'm willing to do the same. So if you guys want to drop a fundraiser link for Craig Henry's wife and kids, or if Craig's wife wants to come on my show to talk about what's going on, I'd love to have her on and do a fundraiser for her. One thing about patriots, especially when they have a wife and kids, automatically, when I hear they've gotten locked up, I automatically just get a burning sensation and adrenaline taste in my throat, knowing that that woman doesn't have her man with her and that those kids don't have their father looking after them. So everybody give me a bunch of ones for Craig Henry. And, anybody who's got a link to raise funds for him and his family, please drop it in there for me. Oh yeah, and Dawn Newman too, Cops are 5150. Look, if you've got links, fundraiser links, or you want to tell these people, if you have a relationship with them, I have no problem having them come on the show. Some of my shows, we get like over 1,000 viewers at a time. And that's a big audience of people who potentially could donate money. And I don't expect anything out. I don't want anything from it other than the good feeling of knowing that I did the right thing to help a fellow brother or sister in the universe, the spiritual universe, because I believe we're all connected with spiritual energy, and we have a duty to look after our fellow man and woman. So let's get into the show. I know I'm probably talking too much, but I really I'm kind of choked up when I see that image of Henry. Anyways, let's keep going.
Swanson had been comfortably filming government buildings from a public area.
And you may have a very legitimate reason. Can you explain that to me? Or you don't care to explain that? Can I see your identification, please?
Have I broken a law?
I don't know, but
Okay.
people take things very
I don't know,
seriously
eh?
when it comes to public safety and military safety. And if you've been walking around the property photographing things, I don't think it's unreasonable for me to ask and find out what's going on.
Oh,
Requests
gosh,
for
really?
ID from police are not uncommon, but must be based on reasonable suspicion of a crime. Without proper grounds, this action seriously violates the Constitution.
Now, you asked me a few questions when I got here for my name and badge number, and I was more than willing to
Good.
provide that with you.
Which I believe you're required to do.
Yep.
I'm not.
Well, if we have reason to believe you may be involved in criminal activity,
You need a reasonable, articulable suspicion that I am, or I'm about to commit a crime to be able to detain
So
you.
what are you up
So
to?
what am I being detained for?
What the heck, eh?
For identification purposes.
In order to ID me, I had to have broken a law.
H5 signals. Can I get another squad, please?
Don't you know, eh?
Let's start a suspicious activity on 23rd Street in Brooklyn by all with one male.
What's this all about, eh?
Non-compliant. Okay. So here's the thing. You can tell me who you are, and I can have you on your way very easily.
Did you slap it good,
And
Mama Lion?
Here's the thing. At this point in time, it's illegal detainment because I have broken no law.
Okay.
I'm in the process of breaking no law, and I intend to break no law. You have no suspicions of any of those three. So therefore, you have no right to detain me or try to ID me.
That might be what you think,
That's what I know.
but you can tell me, and I can get you on your way.
Am I being detained or am I
Yes.
free to go?
No, you are not free to go.
Okay. I exercise my right to remain silent.
Swanson calmly followed the proper procedure, but Sergeant Everett quickly called for backup. As more officers arrived, the situation escalated.
Told you I'm exercising my right to remain
Set
silent.
your cameras down.
No.
So just check it out. Check it out, eh? We got all these officers, eh? And they're all out for a rip, out for a rip, don't you know? Coming to see this guy. Imagine how much is that costing the taxpayers? Figure the radio calls, 5 or 6 cops. I would say this is probably costing the taxpayers. What do you guys think? $5,000 for them to come out and harass this guy? It just kind of blows my mind.
I have every right to record.
Okay. I'll tell you what I'm going to do right now, and you are going to follow my commands, or you're going to go to jail. I'm going to detain you in handcuffs.
Are you
for
his
my
supervisor?
safety. No, I'm the supervisor.
Can I get your
Turn
supervisor,
around,
please?
put your hands behind your back.
This is an illegal detainment. Go to the ground. Put it down.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Comply.
I'm not resisting.
Yes, you are.
I am not at all. Nothing is tense.
By the way, so they're trained to do that. Stop resisting, as they're punching you in the head. That's part of the academy training. It's disgusting. You guys know what goes on, and they do that for several reasons. One is so it gets on the body cam audio, as well as if there's any witnesses around, because we know that most people are lemmings because they went to public schools and colleges, and so they've been brainwashed into thinking that whatever the state does, the state can do no wrong. So if the state says you're resisting, well, they're gonna think that you were resisting, and even if you weren't, that's what they're gonna tell the jury when they get called as witnesses. So let's keep watching.
I'm completely loose.
You got his arm behind his back?
Yep.
Okay, I'm coming back.
That's true. That's true, Just Willie.
sure hope you didn't damage your cameras.
Sergeant Everett even mocked Swanson's now damaged camera.
I sure hope you didn't. It's an illegal search. I do not consent to any searches or seizures.
Now, just really quick, when I was doing this as a youngster, when I was doing my version of cop watching, when we had like the big video cameras and stuff like that, they would just smash your camera and throw it on the ground. And when I would try to tell other people, they would say, "Oh, you're lying. The cops would never do that. The cops would never do anything like that." You know, because we grew up on 1 Atom 12 and chips. So they looked at me like I was some kind of a rebel, like I should be locked up. Give me a bunch of ones if people from my generation remember that. How if you were harassed or beat up by a cop, people just wouldn't believe you. And now in the age of body cams and in First Amendment auditors, we see it with our own eyes. So, take off, eh? Don't you know? Now we have some evidence there, eh?
Here's my person
Well,
or
you're under
property.
arrest, so
Yep.
based on
Arrest
the
for
US
what?
Based on the U.S. Constitution, we have the right to search you under search incident to arrest.
What are you arresting me for?
Tarnished
Obstructing.
liking.
Obstructing what?
Love it.
Legal process.
What legal process?
The core issue is that this process is completely illegal without a specific charge. You cannot charge someone with obstruction without a lawful investigation, yet the police continued to act irrationally.
Well, now you're going to jail,
For
so
what?
obstructing.
Obstructing what? I broke no laws. You were
Obstructing
investigating
his ego.
nothing.
It's suspicious activity
And
when you're
what is that, a
photographing.
misdemeanor or a felony? Suspicious activity, a misdemeanor or a felony, Sergeant? Which one is it? You are now illegally searching my backpack.
After unlawfully arresting Swanson and damaging his equipment, the police searched his personal property and took him to jail on charges of obstruction. Swanson later sued the Hibbing Police Department, and all charges were dismissed. When the case went to court, he won, forcing the city of Hibbing to pay $36,000 plus tens of thousands in legal fees. However, Sergeant Brent Everett faced no disciplinary action. Immediately after Ryan Swanson won the lawsuit, the online community across the United States expressed outrage, criticizing the Hibbing police. The public pressure was so strong that the police department had to delete comments on social media. In this notable event, Ryan Swanson, a brave citizen of the North,
By the way, they're not supposed to delete comments. There is case law that says that violates the First Amendment. So think about that, guys. I mean, a lot of stuff is changing, and it's definitely going our way right now. But all they need is a couple more tyrannical Supreme Court justices, and it could go the other way.
asserted his rights and held the abuser accountable. Don't forget to leave a 5 in the comments if you liked this video.
Love this video.
Again, why are you looking at people's personal vehicles?
I don't answer questions, man. Am I suspected
You
of
are,
committing a
yes.
crime?
Yes.
You have reasonable, articulable suspicion?
Yes.
Okay, so what crime?
At the Terrell Police Department in Indiana, a rookie officer unexpectedly confronted auditors while they were engaging in legal activities.
What's your name and badge number?
Can I help you first? I see you're looking at people's personal vehicles,
Yeah.
which is not suspicious at all.
You don't do that ever?
Not when I'm not, fighting crime or anything.
Okay.
Okay. Just walking through parking lots? No, we don't do that.
Can I get your name and badge number, please?
Officer Clapham 291. Now, can I
Okay.
ask you why you're searching or looking at people's personal vehicles?
No. Well, you can ask, but I'm not going to answer. So,
Okay, so then
I do have a
respectfully-
question.
No, I'm not going to answer any questions.
That's our TVO. Right on, brother. Good seeing you,
I don't have
man.
to answer any questions. So,
how's it going, man?
good. How are you?
Doing
So,
good.
I came out and I saw him.
What's your name and badge number, sir?
So I saw him recording inside people's personal vehicles, not marked units, personal vehicles.
Okay.
So to me, that's suspicious. So right now you're detained.
I'm
until we
detained.
can figure out what's going on.
Okay.
Okay. So
All right.
what are you doing?
You might want to get a sergeant before you do all that.
No, I don't have to.
Okay.
So why are you looking at?
I'm
people's
requesting a supervisor right now.
personal vehicles? Tell you what. Why don't you go grab a supervisor
Yep.
while I ask you
Okay.
investigatory questions.
Hey, we got a captain here.
Hey,
Yep, that's right.
Hey, Cap.
Awesome.
So again, why are you looking at people's personal vehicles?
I don't answer questions, man. Am I suspected
You
of
are,
committing a
yes.
crime?
Yes.
You have reasonable, articulable suspicion?
Yes.
Okay, so what crime?
Well, I am assuming that you're either A, looking in people's vehicles, personal vehicles, to possibly take shit out of them.
Okay.
So that's a crime. That's called theft.
So you're suspecting me of theft right now?
I have enough reason to believe that you could be. Yes.
That I could be what?
about to commit theft, about to
Okay.
commit a crime.
Okay.
Okay. So why are you looking in people's personal vehicles?
Again, man, I don't answer questions.
Okay.
You know.
Well, I'm telling you to answer this question. You're under investigation for something.
All right.
Because you're being detained.
Compelled
Okay.
speech.
So why are you looking in people's personal vehicles?
I don't answer questions.
Okay, you can hang tight then.
Yep.
And we're gonna have a sergeant come out and
That's fine. The captain is right there. So
yeah, well he's not on duty at the moment, so I don't want to take him on his off
pretty
duty.
sure he's smart enough to tell you that nothing wrong here.
Okay, you stand right here then. Can you stand by with him?
This is Terre Haute Police Department.
Go ahead and get his name and date of birth. He's detained still, so you can get that info.
No, you're not getting that info.
Just want to let you know.
By the way, if you guys see an ad, make sure to watch it because that helps support my channel. Just telling you, you know.
Hey, it's Officer Man. How you doing, man? This is Officer Man from one of our first videos ever.
Oh, first name basis.
Are you gonna not tell him that there's no crime being committed here? I mean, he's detaining me without reasonable articulable suspicion.
For filming inside of personal vehicles
Okay,
on a public lot.
that's right.
Is that not suspicious? Would a normal person be walking around filming?
Is suspicion a crime?
No, but it's
is
enough
being-
to detain people.
Okay,
So
You're not
because you're under detainment, you have to provide me your name, date of birth. Okay.
okay.
So
So
what's your name?
what's gonna happen if I don't give you my name?
Then you can be under arrest for
Okay.
failing to provide your.
So you're gonna if I give it, it's
All I
under
need-
duress.
All I
You
need is
understand?
your name and date of birth.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So just again, I'm just making it clear. If I don't give it, you're gonna arrest me, right?
For failure to identify, that's a
Okay.
crime, right? That's a crime, right?
Only if another crime has been committed. See, failure to identify is a secondary charge.
Because you are being detained.
Okay.
You have to provide that information for
Why are
me.
you looking in people's cars?
I don't answer questions, man, but I will tell you that failure to identify is a secondary charge. So if I'm not being charged with a crime
It
or
is
if I
still a
haven't
charge.
committed no, it's a secondary. Do you know what that means? It means that if I've committed a crime, I'm required
Yeah, you're
to
under
provide my
suspicion
ID.
for committing a crime.
No, but you have no suspicion
I
that
do.
I've committed a crime, do you?
You're about to commit a crime. That's part of the
You're
clause.
saying it.
Hold
I
on,
am
hold on.
about to. That's what
Yes,
you're
that's
saying.
part of the clause.
Okay.
If you are committing a crime or about to commit a crime.
Okay.
Okay. Hang tight.
And I do have to tell you that it varies based on jurisdiction, but if you're detained, some jurisdictions say that you have to identify yourself. Now, whether or not you identify yourself as good citizen or not, well, do so at your own peril. All right. Just remember that.
Hopefully they get this figured out real quick. We got the clown squad out today.
All right, you have a beautiful day.
Is that right? No more threats, man? No. Just throwing me in a cage wasn't a threat? Yeah, that's
Wow.
what a jail cell is. Show some more respect for the public next time. How about that, buddy? No, you weren't at all. Yeah, I will.
Now you can see, with just a
That
little
was
effort,
shocking.
the auditors made the city's hired hands back down. Let's explore the details of the actions that led to this officer's appearance and learn his
I like
first
this
lesson.
channel, by the way.
Acquisition tie audits. We are reporting live from, well, we're not live. I guess this isn't live. So we're reporting from the Terre Haute Police Department. We're going to do a little audit. I got to pick up a flash drive from these guys here today. So that is why we're here. As you know, we've been a pretty common visitor here at the police department, at this police department here. So they'll know who we are. They'll know what we're doing. They shouldn't come by.
And by the way, I don't get paid for endorsements or anything. You know, this is all my time that I volunteer, but I just dropped Mr. 5 IDRefusals link in the sidebar. That's the guy who makes this content. I definitely want you guys, you know, if you want to, I'm not going to tell you what you have to do, but support this dude's channel. I've never met him. I have no idea who this dude is, but I really like his channel. Let's keep going.
Bother us today. He's got brass knuckles with points on the end of them in there. Let's see what's up with that. Huh. Okay. I'm gonna make sure I get a good shot of that, because I don't know if I did get a good shot of it. So we got 713 RTQ on that license plate. You get pulled over by this guy, be careful, because here, let's make sure we get that close up of that. He cares.
So are you getting this? So we already know what they'll do with those. He probably won't hit you with them, right? We know that bad cops have a tradition of placing these things in other people's cars so they can arrest them for possession of a deadly weapon. It's a bigger charge. They get more money to the police industrial complex.
He's brass knuckles with him. He's looking to use them. You know, I don't know why else you'd have them unless you wanted to use them.
Throw down.
So obviously a very violent individual that's using that vehicle there. Unmarked vehicles. There's all of them. Almost all of them are unmarked.
And you can see why the
outfitted
cops
with
would want to
police
lock this
lights.
guy
All
up,
of them
right?
are outfitted with police radios. So yeah, I got no idea what's up with that.
Wild.
So okay though. So here we go. We're gonna head into the looks like the employee parking lot here. We're gonna head in here real quick, see what they got going on in these vehicles.
Is that Craig, by the way, guys? Is that Craig Hendry?
Okay.
Somebody tell me. I don't know.
So there you have it, everybody. Those pigs got dismissed as they should have. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in the next one.
Yep.
Craig Henry.
That's
In
what
the
I
end,
thought. That's
these
what I thought with
individuals
the
were
matter.
rightly driven
You're-
away just as they
You're
deserved.
legit, man. See why the cops want to lock him
What's
up.
your
right?
supervisor's name? What's your
sheriff? I'm done talking
It's
to
not
you.
the sheriff.
Cameron, I'm done talking to you.
I'm not Cameron.
Okay.
My name is
I'm
not
done talking
Cameron.
to you.
Hey,
All right.
what is your supervisor's name?
Now you can see that Brian Comto, badge number 223 from the Washington County Police Department, clearly does not understand the law, and officers like him are very dangerous. Officer Brian cannot distinguish between public access and restricted areas. He does not understand that citizens have the right to record police while they are on duty.
So he's in a public area, public parking lot. That was unbelievable that Craig got those brass knuckles on camera. I mean, unbelievable. Why would a cop have brass knuckles with spikes on them? That's pretty bad. Pretty sadistic. Give me a bunch of ones if you think that cop's probably a sadist. In an unmarked car. What kind of people are joining the police force? It's unbelievable to me. I want to fix it, Michelle. I do. Just Willie. I want to fix it, Just Willie. I don't know what, the best I can do
flag.
is to be here for you and preach. Got to teach people their rights.
There's
Psychopaths. I know, man. Psychopaths. Just Willie says they're psychopaths. Control freaks, that's for sure.
What's up, man? How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
What can I do for you?
Oh, just doing a little photography.
He's had a little bit too many
Photography.
donuts.
If I can talk
For who?
for myself.
Okay. Well, this is kind of a restricted area back here. Do you work here or?
Oh, I don't work here, no, sir.
Okay.
What do you mean it's restricted?
No kidding,
This
what's
is
the
our
matter,
firing
you?
range.
Sure,
So it's
sure,
not
sure.
just open to the public.
It's not.
No.
Okay. All right. That's good. But it is county property?
It is county property. Yep. So
Where's
it's that on the other side of the fence there.
Sure.
Okay.
That's fenced off, so that's
Yeah.
definitely a
Yeah.
restricted area.
Yeah.
So, Where is the restricted signs or no
You
trespassing?
can quit turning that towards me, okay? I don't want you.
Excuse
That's a battery.
me. And
This is my property. Did you just touch my property?
No, I didn't.
That's a battery right there. That officer, the Washington County Sheriff's Office, that is a battery under tort law as well as criminal law. So give me a bunch of ones if you think that officer should arrest himself. Give me a bunch of ones if that officer should arrest himself for committing a battery. Let's see them. Give me a bunch of twos if you think that police officers are above the law and they should be able to violate people's rights whenever they want to.
You did. You touched it. You moved it.
You need to leave.
It's on camera, homie.
Let me see your ID.
No, sir.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Let me see your ID. Who are you? Why are you
I just
here?
told you.
Why are you here?
I just told you.
Why are you here videotaping inmates? Why are you here doing that?
Is there inmates out there?
You can't see them right there.
Oh, I didn't see him before.
Okay,
But no.
you need to leave.
Actually, I was.
You need to leave. You need to leave.
And you are
My name is Brian Comstock.
Brian Comstock. Do you have a badge number?
Brian Comstock just committed battery, guys, and I bet you nothing's going to happen to him. Now, just imagine if you, a common citizen, would have gone up to a cop and said, "Get that body cam away from me." You would have been rat packed. You'd probably still be in jail right now. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree. Give me a bunch of twos if you think the cops would have said, "Oh, no big deal."
Yeah.
Brian?
Yeah. 223 is my badge number.
223?
Yep. You can go now.
Why,
Thank you.
Why can I go?
If you turn that towards me again, you need to leave.
I don't like you behind me, Brian.
I don't like you. I don't like you pointing that at me.
Why
need to get out
not?
of here. You need to leave right now.
Why don't
Let's
you
go.
like me?
Let's go.
Why are you freaking out?
You don't like me. Why
I
are you
was
freaking out?
recording
Let's
that
go.
flag right there.
No, you're not.
No, I was reporting that flag. If you just go over there to Washington County and ask them, I just called and I said, "How do you know you can pass that sign?" And they said that red flag
You're
right there.
recording inmates.
No,
you need to leave.
I was recording the red
No,
flag.
you need to leave.
Inmates
What's the
might
statute?
Why are
be
you
there.
recording a red flag?
Because I was explaining to my followers how you can walk this trail. And I just went
you
to
need to
Washington County into the sheriff's department
Mhm.
and asked them, "How do I know if I can pass that red sign?" And they said,
Who are you?
"I don't need to tell you who I am."
Okay, then you need to leave.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I have no idea who you are.
I don't
or what
care
you're
if you
doing
know
back
who
here.
I am
You
or
need to
not.
leave.
No, sir.
Yes, you need
No.
to leave.
I'm recording that red flag.
Hold on a minute. We have a Gregory Carlisle says county property is not public property. So guys, really, I mean, come on, really, who is this person? Are you a practical joker? Are you a comedian?
I can explain to my followers
Followers what? Explain to them what?
how you walk the trail.
That red flag has nothing to do with it. You can't see that. The trail is over there. You
Okay.
can go to the trail.
What's that red sign say right there?
When the red flag is
So,
up.
It
wait a
doesn't say
minute.
the red flag.
Okay, what's it say?
I doubt my mods are going to let this weirdo stay in the chat very long. But Gregory Carlisle says county property is not public property, and he also says that this guy is a fake journalist. So this sounds like a typical, leftist that probably is a product of the public education system, who believes that you have to have some kind of a degree or a piece of paper in order to be official. But our founding fathers certainly didn't believe that, guys. The First Amendment made it very clear that the idea is to hold the government accountable. The greatest duty of a free man, of a free citizen, was to keep your eyes on the government and hold them accountable. Back in the revolutionary days, they would tar and feather people like this guy. They would tar and feather people like this guy who violated people's rights. So it's amazing how the Marxist public education system has brainwashed so many people into thinking that you have to have a degree or a piece of paper, or you're not a real, or you're a fake person, or you're a real person if you have one. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree with what I just said.
It says this trail is closed while working the
Fire range is in operation.
is in operation. So
Okay.
I went in there and said, "Hey, how do I know that the firing range is in operation?" They said, "Go find a red flag." So here I am finding the red flag.
Okay. Why didn't you just knock on the door? Instead of just walking
this
around back
is
here
the
looking all
gym.
suspicious,
This is the
videotaping
firing
inmates.
I'm not. I don't care what I videotape.
Okay, let's go. Because this is not open to the public area.
Are you going to trespass me?
Do you want me to?
Is that what you want to do?
Do you want me to?
Sure.
Okay.
Trespass.
Trespass. You
All right,
need to leave.
Get me a written
You-
trespass.
You need to leave.
Give me a written trespass.
Let's go. No, I'll log it with dispatch. We don't give written trespass.
Okay, I would like
This
to
is
see your
sheriff's office.
supervisor since you touched
He's over
me.
there. He's over there at the jail. I never touched you.
You touched my,
I
my
didn't
possession.
touch. I didn't
It's on.
touch you.
It's on.
Okay,
Battery.
go over there and talk to my
You
supervisor.
turned my
It's
camera
the
so it
sheriff
wouldn't
over
be
there.
on
You
you.
can go talk to him.
No, I don't have to go anywhere.
I'm not calling him over here.
Okay, I'm gonna sit right here
No,
and do
you're
my
gonna leave
recording.
right now.
You call
So I'm gonna
911.
leave your truck, guys. When
Out of the
this red
property.
flag is up, you cannot pass the red sign, as I explained to you. This Brian. What'd you say your last name was, Brian? Oh wow, man! Professionalism. Very professional. What are you doing, Brian?
I'm looking at what's in public view.
On duty. Just minutes earlier, this videographer was simply recording from a public space, but Brian approached and tried to intimidate him,
Oh,
saying he
man.
couldn't film prisoners. It seems Brian has personal issues or is under stress.
Yeah, you are. Yep. That's why I said I didn't say you were doing something illegal. I said, "What are you doing?"
And I told you.
Okay.
All right.
All right. You're really defensive, and I don't know why, man.
Who needs to get to the gym?
I'm defensive. I explained exactly what I'm doing to you.
We shone that on the license
No.
plate so everybody can see it's
It's not my license plate.
29P.
Hey, it's not my license plate. So go ahead, go run it, Brian. Run it, Brian. Is this your truck, Brian?
No.
Neither of them are?
No.
Well, let's see here. 391 YEU. The other one's getting red too.
Hey, this guy's got a good sense of humor. At least.
AEW72E.
I hope the county covers his high blood pressure medicine. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree. Looking squared away, bud. Boy, vey, huh, guys? That's the whole point of the First Amendment, is to be able to test your government. Protest, for testing, Latin. Pro, for, test. You test the government. That's what protest literally means. When
This
you're
area
protesting,
closed during fire
or testing something.
operations.
Well, because cultivated, because all the
How are
lefties
you,
say,
man?
well, that wasn't real communism.
Can you tell Brian to come back out here?
Yes, who are you?
I'm a citizen of the city.
Who's that guy? That dude had a really high-pitched voice. What the heck was he doing? Give me a bunch of ones for the guy with the high-pitched voice. Low testosterone, I don't know. I'll bet you can only do about 5 push-ups, but yet they let him join the police force. Weird. It's Johnny Carson would say, weird, good stuff. Weird, weird. Oh, Karnak the Magnificent. Weird. Man, great Carlisle, you remind me of this Marine buddy of mine. It's uncanny. I love your sense of humor, bro.
What's
I'm
your
done talking to you.
supervisor's name?
I'm
What's your
sheriff? I'm done talking
It's
to
not
you.
the sheriff.
Cameron, I'm done talking to you.
I'm not Cameron.
Okay.
My name is
I'm
not
done talking
Cameron.
to you.
Hey,
All right.
what is your supervisor's name?
Hey, why does that guy with the baseball hat have that weird thing
What
on
is
his
your
ear?
supervisor's name?
It looks like Brian is still hiding in the building and is afraid to return to face the videographer. Brian's behavior is disappointing and unnecessary, only making the situation worse.
Cops are 5150. Love you, man. All right, so I got to tell you guys. So this channel, this was Mr. 5 ID Refusal. What a cool channel. Give me a bunch of ones for Mr. 5 ID Refusal. Really, really good stuff. Good stuff, as Johnny Carson would say. Good stuff. Now, before we get back into the videos, so one of my users named Greg reached out to me and asked me, he said, if I think I'm under arrest, I am not detained according to the law, correct? And of course, well, that's my view. My view is if I think I'm under arrest and I'm not free to leave, I'm under arrest. I don't care what the cop says. It's objectively and subjectively, I think I'm under arrest. But here's how it usually goes down. So the concept that you're referring to, Greg, refers to touching on legal principles regarding arrest and detention. But there's a common misunderstanding, and here's some clarification that'll help you hopefully when you're in court. So an arrest occurs when a law enforcement officer takes you into custody, typically by telling you you're under arrest or by physically restraining you in a manner that indicates that you're not free to leave. Well, duh, that sounds like a detention to me, according to their view of a detention. Now, a detention can occur in various contexts, but generally it refers to a situation where the police temporarily stop you, but do not necessarily arrest you. See what I mean? It basically just gives the cops a wiggle room to try to get you to say something or do something so he can complete his investigation to figure out a reason to arrest you. That's really all it is. But generally, it's a situation where the police temporarily stop you, but do not necessarily arrest you. It could be for questioning. It could be a search or other law enforcement purposes, whatever that is. So if you're detained, if a reasonable person in your situation would not feel free to leave or terminate the encounter. Now, it's about perception versus reality, really, Greg. If you think you're under arrest, but in reality, no formal arrest has been made, no handcuffs, no reading of rights, no clear indication from the officer that you're under arrest, you might be detained if the circumstances indicate that you're still not free to go. However, your perception alone doesn't legally determine your status. The actions and intentions of the officers, along with legal definitions, and that's going to vary jurisdiction by jurisdiction, unfortunately, will determine whether or not you're arrested or detained. I hope that answered most of your question, Greg. Your legal rights basically are where it boils down. If you're unsure whether or not you're under arrest or you're being detained, ask, am I under arrest or am I free to go? And, if he says you're not free to leave, but wait here, that could indicate that you're under arrest or detained. It's a bunch of gobbledygook. That's why I always say, I am under arrest. I straight up say it. I am under arrest if I'm not free to leave, and I want to talk to my lawyer. It's that simple. That's the way I would handle it. I mean, of course, I would do it differently. I would say, I really want to help you with your investigation. I know you're trying to figure out a reason to arrest me, officer, and I really want to help you in your job of trying to make an arrest or try to put me in jail, to try to put me in a custodial situation where I'm locked up, right? But before I do that, I'd like to get my lawyer out here so I can make sure that I have the benefit of counsel before I answer any more questions. Of course, there's a million different ways you can do it, but Greg, that's just my thought. Again, this isn't legal advice, but you can see how there's really no way to know whether or not you're under arrest or being detained unless you have a belief that you're arrested, and then you exercise your fundamental constitutional unalienable rights as if you are under arrest. That's the best way that I can explain it to you. I mean, there is no real bright line in the sky to determine that. So we're going to get into this next video, and then we'll get into, is it legal, from Jennifer, is it legal to arrest a First Amendment auditor for filming in a public space? So that'll be the next question that I answer, which you already know what I think, but I'll answer it based upon my great legal abilities. But here's another video from this Mr. 5 IDRefusal. And I've seen this one before. A lot of you guys have probably seen it, but this is just blowing my mind. So there's not as much context in this short as I'd like there to be, but basically there's a dude, I think he's standing on his front lawn, and he's filming this cop, and the cop doesn't like it. So he approaches him and starts harassing him. So let's check this out. This is unbelievable.
Go take your hand out of your pocket. Okay?
No, sir, I haven't done nothing. I've done absolutely nothing. No.
Seriously.
Put your gun down, really?
It's a short.
This one's really got to
Bear
go.
with me.
No, you don't touch me. You don't touch me.
When I tell you to take your hand out,
I've done nothing. You go away.
I don't go away. I stay where I am. You can go in your house if you want. Go take your hand out of your pocket. Okay?
No, sir, I haven't done nothing. I've done
Did you
absolutely
guys
nothing.
see
No.
that? This guy's the cop literally knows. The cop literally knows that this dude is on his own property, and he pulls out his gun, and he approaches the guy. He approaches the guy like, "How dare you film me?" So they don't like it when they're being filmed, but they sure love filming you, right? So let's get into the next one. Another short.
So have a seat right here on the curb.
I don't want to sit on the ground.
Sir, you're being detained right now.
For what?
Sir, I told you you're being detained.
I didn't do anything.
We don't know that.
Well, you better find out. I'm not sitting on the ground, man.
Take your backpack off.
I'm not taking my bag. I didn't do anything.
Sir, we're gonna find that out.
Found it out, but I didn't do anything, man.
Sir, we can figure it out right now.
Figure it out. I didn't.
Here's the deal.
I don't want to sit on the ground. I'm not sitting on the ground. I didn't do anything.
So have a seat right here on the curb.
I don't want to sit on the ground.
Sir, you're being detained right now.
For what?
Sir, I told you you're being detained.
I didn't do anything.
We don't know that.
Well, you better find out. I'm not sitting on the ground, man.
No,
it's strange.
I'm loving it. Anyways,
I wasn't
that's
on the
one.
ground.
Let's get on to the next
Sir, you're
one.
being detained right now.
For what?
Sir, I told you you're being detained.
All right. So I told you you're being detained. So I told you that's enough. So here's the Karen cop. Let's see what she's got to say.
Call your sergeant. Call your sergeant.
Obey.
What? Explain to me what have I did wrong.
George Orwell.
What have I done wrong? No, you tell me what I did wrong. I'm requesting your sergeant. You're approaching me. Call your sergeant. Have I committed a crime? Yes or no? So stop fucking bothering me. Call your sergeant. Call your sergeant. Obey what? Explain to me what have I did wrong. What have I done wrong? No, you tell me what I did wrong.
Yeah,
I'm
Jess Willie
requesting your
dropped
sergeant.
your shorts.
You're approaching me. Call your sergeant. Have I committed a crime? Yes or no? So stop fucking bothering me. Call your sergeant. Call your
Look at her
sergeant.
face. I mean, she really looks like she's upset. What do you guys think? Do you think Karen's upset? All right. So now we got another. This is a little bit longer. This is about an officer demanding an ID for being new in town. So kind of reminds you of like Smokey and the Bandit. What do we got here? Remember the Dukes of Hazzard? You guys remember the Dukes? I mean, there's got to be a few old codgers out there who remember the Dukes. Anyways, let's watch this one. This is kind of fun.
Consensual encounters, small town policing, and street side interrogations, and comes to us from the Bateau Size channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Let's dive right in and audit the interaction. This video, posted on September 2nd, 2019, shows Jefferson County resident Michael Fairclaw riding his bicycle to a nearby convenience store where he is stopped by Officer Mark Clark of the Bergholz Police Department in the village of Bergholz, Ohio.
I'm not breaking the law. Am I breaking the law, sir?
Wait a minute. Did someone say Ohio? Overturn Terry versus Ohio. Let's say it, guys. Give me a bunch of OTVOs. Overturn Terry versus Ohio. I just had visions of Chili DeCastro in my mind, and I had to say it. Let's get on to the video.
Then why am I being stopped?
You're not being stopped. You
Because-
parked your bike here and stopped.
Because you stopped the car and got
No,
out.
I did. I stopped the car because you dropped your bike.
In order to be detained and questioned by a member of law enforcement, Ohio Revised Code 2921.29 requires that the officer suspect the individual of committing a crime. Officer Clark told Mr. Fairclaw that he was not breaking any laws, which infers that Mr. Fairclaw is free to leave at any time.
Love
So
that name,
far, this is
Fairclaw.
what's known as a consensual encounter. Officer Clark's intentions may seem innocent, but a consensual encounter is more than a casual conversation. Consensual encounters act as a significant investigatory tool for law enforcement and are often used as a segue into reasonable suspicion or probable cause. In the 1991 case of Florida v. Bostic, the Supreme Court affirmed that, quote, officers do not violate the Fourth Amendment by merely approaching an individual on the street or in another public place by asking him if he is willing to answer some questions or by putting questions to him if the person is willing to.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. A cop can ask you, and of course, you guys know that police are allowed to lie as well, right? In the course of their investigation. I mean, isn't that insane? I mean, it's no wonder that so many people dislike police officers. I mean, they're allowed to lie to you. I mean, come on. We're taught from childhood that you don't lie, and people who do lie are considered to be dastardly individuals. But yet, Ponch and John get to lie, and we're taught to worship them, on cops, bad boys, bad boys. They're always the good guy, right? But I think that First Amendment auditors, the reason why they're despised and hated by statists in the administrative state, the college educated types, is for precisely that reason.
Listen, the legal doctrine for whether or not an encounter is considered consensual is based on the free to leave test, which considers whether the police conduct would have communicated to a reasonable person that he was not at liberty to ignore the police presence and go about his business. If a reasonable person would not feel free to leave at any time during a police encounter, then the encounter is not consensual. In the 2017 10th Circuit case of United States v. Hernandez, the court compiled a list of factors to consider in determining whether an encounter is consensual. The threatening presence of several officers, the brandishing of a weapon by an officer, physical touching by an officer, aggressive language or tone of voice by an officer indicating compliance is compulsory, prolonged retention of an individual's personal effects, a request to accompany an officer to the police station, interacting in a small, enclosed, or non-public place, and absence of other members of the public.
Absolutely.
So far, Officer Clark is following the outline of a consensual encounter, and Mr. Fairclough should be free to leave at any time.
You're a liar. I was on my bike. You stopped the car. I got off my bike so I could get my phone out, so I can have proof of how we're treated around
Where
here.
you're coming from because you're strange to town and never seen you
I'm
here.
not strange to this town. I grew up around here my whole life.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I've never seen you here before.
Yeah, I grew up in Amsterdam.
Although Burgos is a small town, that is not.
I would not participate in an investigation against myself. I wouldn't tell that cop anything. I wouldn't volunteer where I grew up, where I'm from, especially with a name like that, because he sounds like a Native American. I believe that he's got extra rights because he has a spiritual connection to this land. Give me a bunch of ones if you think Native Americans have a spiritual connection to this land.
Not a reasonable justification to stop and interrogate unfamiliar people on the street. By that logic, anyone who lives in Bergholz is subject to being interrogated based on Officer Clark's memory of having met them. It is well within Officer Clark's authority to stop and engage with people simply because they are unfamiliar, so long as the interaction is completely consensual. Most people interact with police officers because they are unfamiliar with the limits of a consensual encounter and feel as though they are legally obligated to engage with members of law enforcement. There are also deeply rooted psychological elements at play during a consensual encounter with an authority figure.
Yeah.
Authority and positions of dominance have a dramatic influence over both the psychological and physiological aspects of social interaction, and many expert studies, such as Milner's studies and the Stanford prison experiment, have demonstrated the influential power of authority and obedience. Obedience is contingent on authority, and many people find it easier to disengage from an ordinary person than from an authoritative figure. The power of a badge and uniform alone are often enough to coerce an average person into an unwanted conversation or interrogation without having to acquire reasonable suspicion to detain them. Mr. Fairclough stopped his bike because he feared the repercussions of not yielding to Officer Clark, even though Mr. Fairclough knew he had done nothing wrong. Mr. Fairclough starts to sense the officer's ignorance and then uses the officer's logic against him.
Oh, I've never seen you either. You must be
I'm
new
just
here.
wondering where you're going.
I'm going to the store. And that is really none of your business either, because I'm not breaking the law. But I'm not. I've lived here my whole life.
See your driver's license or some kind of ID.
For driving a bike?
Yep.
Bicycles are defined as vehicles under Ohio law, and state law allows bicycles to be lawfully operated on virtually all Ohio roads except freeways or certain limited access roadways. Having an ID is not required for operating a bicycle, but like in all states, Ohio law requires cyclists to follow the basic rules of the road when riding a bicycle on a roadway, and cyclists who break traffic laws are subject to being pulled over and identified. Under state law, bike bans that force cyclists to use sidewalks instead of roads are prohibited everywhere in Ohio. In fact, many cities, especially Ohio's larger cities, do not permit sidewalk cycling at all. I was unable to locate the local ordinances concerning sidewalk biking, but considering that Bergholz has a population of just under 700 residents, it is safe to assume.
Now, Justin Knighton makes a really valid comment. Justin Knighton says our country has become a giant version of a prison experiment. I would, you know what, I would take it a step further. Our society has become a prison, in my opinion. And it's going to get worse if the World Economic Forum gets their candidate into office. We've got 15-minute cities coming. They're trying to take away our cars, trying to disarm us. If Camel Toe gets a couple more Supreme Court justices, you can kiss your firearms rights goodbye. They're gone, guaranteed. It'll be over, guys. It'll be over. That'll be the end of it. That'll be the end of this experiment of freedom.
Assume that no such local ordinance exists. As mentioned earlier in the video, Ohio is a stop and identify state, but in order for an officer to demand identification, he must suspect the individual of have committed, or about to commit a crime. Officer Clark has no legal basis to demand identification from Mr. Fairclaw.
I want to make sure
Right on, Rafe, yeah.
you are.
I never gave you a name, and I don't have to prove nothing because I didn't.
Yes, you do.
Did I break the law?
I'll write you a ticket.
For what? A ticket for what?
Police officer asked you a question.
Okay.
Citizens do not have to answer questions simply because a police officer asks them. In fact, you should never answer questions that a police officer asks without an attorney present. The Fifth Amendment protects citizens' right to remain silent, and any legal professional will advise against answering questions without consulting an attorney first. Even if an individual is blatantly guilty of a crime, they are under no obligation to answer questions from a police officer and cannot be charged with additional crimes for refusing to do so. In general, only a judge can order an individual to answer questions. It is clear that Officer Clark is mistaken about the scope and limitations associated with his authority. There is no law against refusing to answer an officer, and Mr. Fairclaw calls the officer's bluff.
Did I break a law? I'm riding a bike.
But you're strange in town.
I'm riding a bike, okay? I'm not strange in town. I grew up in Amsterdam. My name is Michael Fairclaw. I grew up in Amsterdam, Ohio.
That's fine.
My
That's all I
birthday.
needed to know.
Yes. I mean,
That's all I needed to know.
so
who
you wanted
you
my
were.
ID. I'm not giving you my ID. I didn't break the law, sir.
I
I'm
didn't
pedaling
say-
my
did
bike.
I say you broke the law?
No,
You're
but you
strange
pulled
in
over.
town.
I'm not
I've never seen who
strange.
you are before.
I'm not strange.
I asked you who you were.
I know my laws, man. I know my laws.
Good for you.
I didn't pull away.
I'm happy.
I didn't pull away. You
I'm
pulled
happy.
over and then jumped out of your
I'm
car,
happy.
so I
You
got
can
off and
film
pulled
me all
my.
you
Yeah, and
want.
you're going on the
I just wanted
internet.
to- Huh?
You're going on the internet.
Go ahead.
You will. What's your name?
Just some good old
What's your name,
boys.
sir?
Mark Clark.
Mark Clark. Okay.
Never mean
Nice to
no
meet you.
harm.
You're
I
right.
might be strange to you, but I'm not strange
Exactly.
in town.
Well, that's what I get paid to do. Is
So there's a commenter in the sidebar making a weird statement that you prefer a fascist, when I just made a statement that if Camel Toe gets in, they're going to take away our Second Amendment rights. Well, that's what fascists do. They disarm their populations. I'm always going to support the one who promotes more freedom and less government. I don't know about you guys. I'm a libertarian. I don't take political sides, but I'm definitely happy with the Supreme Court justices that we got, because without them, we wouldn't have had these amazing Second Amendment rules and laws that just came down that made it possible. Even in California, they're flipping out because now we have the ability to conceal carry now and protect our families after these tyrants have been flooding our country with over 20 million illegal aliens. We have no idea who these people are, who are putting our lives in danger. At least now we have the ability to fight back against what this tyrannical fascist government that's in power now has done to us by flooding our country with people who don't even belong here, who we have no idea who they are. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree it's nice to be able to have a Second Amendment to fight back against a tyrannical government that's forced criminals into our country and given them free everything.
to find out who's in town and what's going on in town.
The Bureau of Justice Statistics, which operates under the Office of Justice Programs, describes law enforcement as the individuals and agencies responsible for enforcing laws and maintaining public order and public safety, and includes the prevention, detection, and investigation of crime and the apprehension and detention of individuals suspected of law violation. Although becoming familiar with a community is an element of police duties, the aggressive and intrusive tactics of Officer Clark is not a productive way to establish a relationship with civilians. Strange and extraordinary does not translate to illegal or malicious, and Officer Clark's propensity to suspect ill will based on
Camel Toe grew up in Canada. Her father was a Marxist professor. She hates this country. She hates everything the Bill of Rights and the Constitution stands for. That's all I have to say about that. And that's about all I have to say about that. Getting her in office is like having a box full of chocolates. you do know what you're going to get, and it ain't going to be good.
Unfamiliarity does not bode well for the community he supposedly represents.
Well, you don't get, well, actually, you get paid to patrol town. You don't get paid to harass people who pedaling bikes. I'm pedaling a bike, brother. I'm not harassing anybody. I know you're not pedaling. I'm pedaling. I'm not breaking the law. I'm not driving or nothing, dude. And I can't wait. I can't wait for Facebook to love this one up. You're going to be famous, brother.
After realizing that Officer Clark has no authority over him, Mr. Fairclaw gets back on his bike and
Love
leaves
that
the
name.
scene without further incident. The
Fairclaw,
original
that's
video
cool.
of this interaction has since been deleted, and no more information on this encounter was readily available. Overall, Officer Clark gets an F for misunderstanding the scope of his authority, harassing an innocent citizen for being unfamiliar, and displaying a general lack of competence and professional awareness. The days of informal policing are long gone, and even in small towns like Bergholz, police officers are held to a higher professional standard than they were 20 years ago. There are local, state, and federal rules, policies, and procedures that members of law enforcement are expected to know and uphold. Police no longer act as community leaders, and America as a country has outgrown the need for personal relationships with officers of the law and is in desperate need of professional, objective, and educated arbiters of peace who do not police with a chip on their shoulder or a false sense of entitlement. Officer Clark represents an antiquated style of
I agree with them. Look, so this is Audit the Audit, you know, and I've played a couple of Audit the Audit's videos. Let me drop a link for Audit the Audit for you guys. And I'll just show you his channel really quick. I'm an equal opportunity guy. You know, I'm sharing this guy's content, and I know he probably likes it that I'm sharing it, you know, because it's getting the word out about his channel, but I'm sharing it. I have no idea who this dude is, but I want you guys to like and subscribe to Audit the Audit's channel. Total pro. The guy knows what he's doing. He talks like a lawyer. Give me a bunch of ones for Audit the Audit. Check out his channel. Make sure to support Audit the Audit. For crying out loud, the guy's got 2.82 million subscribers there. I mean, clearly he's doing something right. Hey, Let's OTVO. Good seeing you, brother. Yeah. Audit the Audit. Thanks for sharing his link, man. Super awesome. Super, super awesome. All right. So let's get into a couple more videos. And by the way, guys, again, you know, I really appreciate you guys joining me on a Friday night. As you can see, I don't really have much of a life. I get up around 0500. I work on cases. I'm a lawyer, and I don't get any attention from anybody in my family. So other than I'm just here as a beast of burden to make money. So it's really cool to be on the show and have my buddies in the sidebar to hang out with. It really makes my day, you know, it really makes my day. And other than that, the only fun I have is I go to the gym and I hit the gun range a couple days a week with a couple of my buddies who are former military like me. And that's pretty much all I do. So this show is it's become like super, super fun for me. And I really appreciate you guys joining me on a Friday night and sharing your time with me. So yeah, we'll get into the next video. Let's get it going, guys. But thanks for everybody. Thanks everybody for joining me and supporting my channel. Thanks for the super chats. And even if it's $2, man, just to see it go up, like to know somebody supports me is really cool. You know, it's making money's cool, but seeing people out there who come from all walks of life who may not even be able to afford it, that's cooler to me. It's pretty freaking awesome.
I'm a journalist, 800 videos. I'm standing here recording you. Yeah, shut your door or you'll get sued, dude. I'll ruin you. You don't know who the hell I am. I will ruin you, dude.
Yeah,
this is what I do for a living. I'm gonna stand right here.
You can leave
I'm
our
gonna
scene.
stand
Yes,
right
you
here.
can.
I'm standing in the parking lot. I came to
Sir,
get
would
gas.
you like me to
and you guys,
trespass this individual
you can't
property?
trespass me. Honey, you can't solicit a trespass. Go
Who's
ahead, let's
that
follow
dude?
it. Let's see if you're gonna get sued. I'm a journalist, 800 videos. I'm standing here recording you. Yeah, shut your door or you'll get sued, dude.
Hey, who's the guy with the high-pitched voice? He
You don't
really
know who
looks
the hell
weird.
I am. I will ruin you, dude. This is what I do for a living. I'm
That
gonna
guy, who's
stand
that guy?
right here.
You can
Look at that
I'm
guy.
gonna stand right here.
He's got a weird voice. I think he's gonna be
gas.
estrogen or
You guys,
something.
you can't trespass me.
That's a weird looking dude. I don't know, man. He's got earrings and he's got a really high pitched voice. He's got no chest, Doesn't look like he could probably do more than 1 or 2 push-ups. Probably he chose the wrong job. I don't know. Let's get into the next Chili DeCastro video. Guys, give me a bunch of ones for Chili. I think Chili's the king. I don't care if he's got 600,000 or 1 million followers or 20 million. Chili DeCastro is the king of First Amendment audits. Give me a bunch of ones for Chili, guys. Let's watch the next one.
This is your daily friendly reminder that if you're the passenger in a car and you get pulled over, you do not have to give your identification to the cops.
So I'm the passenger in the vehicle and you're asking for my license?
I'm asking for your license, yes.
And I'm the passenger in the vehicle?
Yes.
And Chili's absolutely right. If you're a passenger in the vehicle, unless they've got like some kind of a reason, like they've ID'd you as a criminal, like, you're on probation or parole and they know who you are, they have no right to ask you for your ID. And this is another example. I mean, look at this woman. You can tell that she's a psychopath just by looking at her face. Clearly she's in the wrong job. Clearly she doesn't have the physical strength to take on a 16-year-old teenage boy, but yet they give her a job and put her in a position where she can get hurt because she's not strong enough physically to even defend herself. It's really sad what's going on with the police departments. I don't get it.
Because, I'm sorry, why again?
And she said something came up.
What'd you say?
No, so you said something came up, you said.
Yes, something came up. I need to check something. Are you refusing?
Yes, I am, because I'm not the driver.
As the passenger of the car, unless the cop has witnessed you breaking the law, which is probable cause, you do not have to give your identification to that copper.
Right on, Chili.
You pull your trifold out and you show the copper Arizona versus Johnson without probable cause. I don't got to give you my ID, copper. Now, flee, fly.
Give me a bunch of ones for Chili, man. I just think that he is the most inspiring dude, and he's got cojones the size of Mount Everest. He's got cojones the size of Mount Everest, guys. Chili DeCastro from Delete Laws. Make sure to go and like and subscribe to Chili DeCastro. And by the way, while you're on my channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that like and subscribe button. And give me a bunch of OTVOs. Overturn Terry versus Ohio. Overturn Terry versus Ohio. OTVO. Let me see him on the sidebar. Give me a bunch of OTVOs, man. Right on, Travis Johns and Mama Lion. What's the matter, you? Audit the Audit, man. He is, I think that, okay. What's the matter, you says that he misrepresented the decision as a carte blanche. Yeah, well, look, man, what's the matter, you? Everybody gets it wrong sometimes. We're not all perfect, but his videos are awesome. And good news is we have you on my channel to make some corrections. Give me a bunch of ones from What's the Matter You, pointing out that Audit the Audit has made some mistakes also. But it's our job to hold people accountable and point things out. When you guys see me doing something stupid, tell me, if my microphone's too close, right? Tell me, I'll correct it. That's what it's all about. There's a verse in the Bible that talks about iron sharpening iron. And there's another one, I think it's in Psalms or Proverbs, that says that, if your brother is saying something about your behavior, don't turn away. Listen to your brother and let your brother correct you. And that's what it's all about, man. We have to help each other. We can't just let each other do stupid stuff. But it's the way you do it, right? If you approach your brother or your sister in a way that is demeaning, that's putting them down, that's the wrong way. The best way is to be a leader, to lead by example, and to be diplomatic, in my opinion. Give me a bunch of ones if you think that you get more with sugar than you do with salt. That's what my grandma always told me. God rest her beloved soul. Beautiful, beautiful Swedish grandma who baked cookies all the time and grew strawberries in the backyard. What an amazing woman she was. So here is a map of the different states. Hopefully y'all can see it. Of the different states that require you to stop and identify. So the stop and identify states, Nevada, but there are caveats. Okay, so you guys need to do some research. there are caveats. Like in Nevada, they can't just come up and ask you for your ID. They've got to have some kind of reasonable suspicion. And I believe that every state, if their statute doesn't require it, and I want you to do your own research, if their statute doesn't require it, then it's unconstitutional and it needs to be contested. Now, the problem is contesting a law where you have a choice between paying a couple of $100 for a traffic citation or a disturbing the peace citation that's like an infraction, doesn't amount to a crime. Most people are going to choose paying that than getting arrested and getting locked up like Chili did. Now, Chili's got balls. What happened to him, guys, is he was falsely arrested, and all the frauditor people were trying to destroy him and say, oh, they were so glad that he got arrested. And I was one of the only people on the internet at the time, besides my audience of Team MPE, who was saying, no, it was a false arrest and we need to rally around him. And I visited him in jail and I saw him suffer, and he was in there for 4 months. And ultimately he got his case reversed on appeal. He was willing to go to jail over a very small, but what would have amounted to a very, very small fine for what he believes in. And so for that, he has my respect for life. And I will do anything in my power to help Chili DeCastro. And I expect all of you guys to take a look at his channel at the very least, like and subscribe, and check out the work that he's doing for other auditors who have been falsely arrested. He raises money for them. He goes out of his way to try to help people like Craig Henry. And I really just have utmost respect for Chili. And I really would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe and hit that like and subscribe button for Chili DeCastro and his channel. And so, you know, I got a couple more things. So I had another one of my members reached out to me and say, yeah, did I recover this one about good citizen? Well, anyway, so when asked to identify yourself by a police officer, providing your name or showing an identification like a driver's license, passport, or state ID is typically expected. I think we went over that one already. Let's see. Okay, here, I'm going to give you a list of states that typically are like stop and ID states. So the requirement for showing identification to law enforcement when not under arrest varies state by state, like I showed you in the map. All right. Largely, it's due to differences in state laws and court interpretations of constitutional rights, and that is true. We have a 10th Amendment, and so states are sovereign, and so they do have the right to pass different types of criminal laws. But then again, they are bound by the chains of the Constitution. The 14th Amendment Due Process Clause makes it mandatory that they uphold your unalienable rights. Now, they will still vary state by state, largely due to those differences, but particularly the Fourth Amendment, which protects against unreasonable searches and seizures, that's got to be abided by, all right? But here's a general overview of stop and identify statutes. Some states have what are known as stop and identify or stop and frisk laws, which I totally disagree with. These laws generally allow police officers to detain an individual briefly to, pat them down and make sure that they provide identification. But the officer has to have reasonable articulable suspicion. And we'll get into that in a minute, what that is. That a crime has been, is being, or is about to be committed. And so that's what that one officer was arguing. Hey, you're filming inside of cars. That makes me think that you're about to commit a crime of breaking into the car. Now, if I was on the jury, I would be one of those jury nullification guys if that was a law that said that was proper. And I would not find guilty the person who was filming, because obviously he's doing it to test law enforcement, right? He's testing the government. He's using his First Amendment right and duty, by the way, to hold the government accountable to see how they're going to react. So that's my thought. And typically the officer has to believe that the person might be involved in a crime, right? States that have laws like this, and this isn't all of them, but I've done some research, would be Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, Mississippi, and Nevada to a lesser degree. It's kind of changed. New Hampshire, New Mexico, North Dakota, Ohio. Give me a bunch of OTVOs, guys. Overturn Terry versus Ohio. And double tap my screen for some likes. And make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And every time I hear Ohio, I just automatically think of Chili DeCastro. Can't help myself. Losing my mind. And now for something completely different, right? Rhode Island, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, and Virginia. Now, Nevada's law has been upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court in Heibel versus the 6th Judicial District Court of Nevada in 2004, which ruled that requiring someone to provide their name during a stop based on reasonable suspicion does not violate the 4th or 5th Amendments. But I recall Chili DeCastro talking about this, and there are some strong exceptions that come into play. So don't believe everything, don't believe everything that you read in the press. That's a punk rock song back from the days when I was young. Don't believe what you read. And then if you're not under arrest or detained under reasonable suspicion, you generally, I think it's the Boristal Boys, if I'm not mistaken, that song. You generally do not have to provide ID or answer question. However, refusing to cooperate might lead to further investigation. And that's kind of what happens to Chili. They further investigate until they can figure out a way to put the torture cuffs on him, put him in the dungeon, and take away his money. And that's the problem. But man, the guy's got just a serious constitution, physical constitution, a mental one. So, if you refuse to cooperate, be prepared to go to the dungeon, guys. And there's practical considerations, even when there's no legal requirement, that you might want to do it to avoid escalation. So that's why you never don't record. You always, always, always record the police, guys. Never don't record police. Always record. And they'll tell you, well, I got a body cam. Yeah, dude, come on. We know that they tape over that stuff, that they'll turn the camera away, that footage will get cut out. Don't trust these guys. If they have the right to lie to you, and they're trained to lie to people, and they're trained to say stop resisting when you're not resisting, do you think that it's beyond them to just record over the tape or have the video disappear? Come on, guys, give me a break. You put a magnet up to that thing and you can destroy the hard drive. There's so many ways that cops can ruin that footage. So just remember that, Now, let me just really quick give you the difference between reasonable articulable suspicion and probable cause, because there's a big difference. So reasonable articulable suspicion is designed to allow them to investigate to see if they can find some probable cause on you. That's why I don't like it. I think that it's BS. But we'll talk about it really quick. Yeah, or they'll mute it, right? Selwyn, yeah. So Selwyn points out, I'll put his comment up there. What Selwyn says is they'll mute their camera when they have their little roadside huddle to try to figure out how to violate your rights. Like, hut, how are we going to do this? I don't like this guy's attitude. Let's figure out a way to arrest him because he's got a bad attitude. Like Cletus and Enos from Dukes of Hazzard. Boy, I don't like your attitude, like the sheriff from Smokey and the Bandit, right? But typically, there's the concepts of reasonable, articulable suspicion and probable cause are both legal standards used in law enforcement, particularly in the United States, to justify various levels of intrusion or action by police. So here's a little description that I came up with for the show today. So the definition of reasonable articulable suspicion, or RAS, which is a lot of the First Amendment auditors call it, it's a standard that requires an officer must be able to articulate specific facts or circumstances which lead them to suspect that a person has committed, is committing, or is about to commit a crime. Now, here's a lot of times what they'll say is, I don't have to tell you. But here's the problem I have with that. I don't have to tell you what my RAS is. The problem I have with that is we have a 14th Amendment due process clause that says you have the right to know what the nature and cause of the action is. You have a right to know. So when a cop tells me that, and again, this isn't legal advice to y'all, but as far as I'm concerned, the cop is violating his duty or her duty to the Constitution of the United States, because due process is what separates America from all the other countries, knowing the nature and cause of the action so you can be held to answer and know what you're answering. So give me a bunch of ones if you agree that if you ask an officer, what is your reasonable articulable suspicion, that he should or she should tell you. Now, basically, it's that they suspect that a person has committed, is committing, or is about to commit a crime. That's basically the foundation of what RAS is. Now, level of certainty. Level of certainty is an issue. It's a lower standard than probable cause, okay? The suspicion must be based on more than just a hunch, but it doesn't require the level of evidence needed for probable cause. To me, it's just a bunch of BS. That's what I think. Now, the legal justification, stop and frisk, that police can use it to pat someone down. They do that in Nazi York. I mean, New York. Well, they'll pat people down for weapons if they think there's reasonable suspicion they are armed or presently dangerous. They can even put you in a temporary detention, legally, but it's judge-made law. So again, hopefully we'll get some good Supreme Court justices someday that'll overturn this garbage. But right now, police can detain someone to briefly investigate, right? Further to see if there's reasonable suspicion of criminal activity, whatever that is. So an officer might have reasonable suspicion if they see someone repeatedly looking into parked cars, right? Late at night in an area known for car break-ins. And that was what was different about, I think, what Craig Henry was doing. I think he was in a police parking lot and he literally saw some brass knuckles with spikes on them, and he got that on film, and those cops don't like it. Give me a bunch of ones if you think the reason why Craig Henry's in jail right now is because the cops they don't want auditors out there holding them accountable. And that's the real reason why he's locked up. Because that's what I think. I think that they're targeting people who are going balls to the walls on the First Amendment, trying to hold the government accountable. Now, thanks, Thomas. Yeah, right on, Willie B. It's because they can lie. That's right. Thanks for all the ones. You're right. And what's the matter to you? I love having what's the matter to you. And by the way, guys, I don't know if you noticed, but I've got Republicans and Democrats, not too many Democrats because most of them are Marxists and they support, big government and total control over every aspect of your life. But I have both, and I don't discriminate. I don't kick them out. All I ask is that y'all be civil. But I'm a libertarian, and so my attitude is I think we should have less laws, not more. And we should have 50 political parties, because the more political parties you have, the less ability they have to pass more laws to destroy your freedoms. That's what I think. Give me a bunch of ones if you think we should have 1 million parties and we should be electing people into office who delete laws instead of passing more. Anyways, probable cause. Let's talk about probable cause. Probable cause requires facts or evidence sufficient to warrant a person of reasonable caution in the belief that a crime has been, is being, or is about to be committed. Kind of sounds like reasonable articulable suspicion, but they're saying that it's a higher standard. It's a higher threshold than reasonable suspicion. It requires a reasonable belief supported by more substantial facts that a crime has occurred or is occurring. Legal justification. Police can arrest an individual if they have probable cause to believe a person has committed a crime. So if you got a smoking gun in your hand and there's a dude on the ground with a bunch of holes in him, that's probable cause to make an arrest for probably murder or attempted murder, depending on whether the guy's still breathing. Now, search warrants. Judges can only issue warrants based upon probable cause, okay? Allowing police to search a location for evidence of a crime, right? So seizure of evidence. Officers can only seize evidence when there's probable cause to believe that evidence is connected to a crime. So if I've got a gun in my hand and there's still smoke coming out of the barrel and there's a dude on the ground with steamy ventilated holes in him, that's probably good enough for to seize that gun and use it for evidence. And now, if the same officer from the RAS example sees a person break into a car or finds in their possession something that matches a recent car burglary or reports, this could elevate the situation to probable cause for an arrest. The key differences are the threshold. RAS requires less evidence than probable cause. It's about what they might reasonably lead to a crime, whereas probable cause is about what likely has or will lead to a crime. To me, it's still confusing. Honestly, I'm a lawyer and I'm more confused by reading these definitions than I was before I did. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree. I think the police have way too much wiggle room, and that's the problem. Action allowed, especially with juries. They're so pro-cop and pro-law enforcement and pro-government nowadays, because typically the people on your jury are going to be like, postal workers or people with government jobs, because they're the only ones who can afford it. Because, you taxpayers make sure that they get covered for jury duty, while people with businesses trying to support their families, they don't get it. So it's almost stacked against you. You're going to get some government employee on that jury and they're going to find against you. Give me a bunch of ones if you know what I'm talking about. That's what I see as a lawyer anyways. It's terrifying to me. That's why I always say, keep that case away from the black robe taskmaster. Hire a lawyer like me who front loads the case and builds your defenses to where the prosecutor is like, man, I do not want to go up against Eli. he's got good evidence. And of course, you know, me being someone who believes in jury nullification, I always have to tell the court that I support jury nullification because I've written articles about it, and they automatically excuse me from the jury, which is really sad because, you know, jury nullification is an unalienable right that was supported by the first justices of our Supreme Court, like John Jay, for example. So it's really sad what's happened to this country, that the administrative state has basically made it impossible for us to uphold and defend our fundamental rights. They used to call them unalienable rights. I prefer that one. A fundamental right is something that was made up by the Supreme Court. It's unalienable, which means it cannot be liened. Think about it. A lien, something that can have a lien held against it, right? Think about that. So probable cause permits arrest searches and the seizure of evidence, where RASP kind of allows for brief detentions and pat downs for weapons, kind of a thing. Understanding these distinctions is crucial for both law enforcement and and other people. But, you know, do you really understand it? I still don't. So if any of you guys are better at understanding the law, come on my show and let's talk about it. And Prajeeth, innocent people get convicted all the time. And being found not guilty doesn't mean that you're innocent, right? You can actually bring a motion, at least in California, you can bring a petition for a finding of factual innocence. So you're not innocent just because you were found not guilty. You can still be denied security clearances, and even before, you could be denied the right to even have a concealed carry permit, even if you were found not guilty, because you never had that finding of factual innocence. And at common law, there were similar procedures. So let me see, what else do I have here? Now, can I get arrested for not having an ID? It depends. All right, guys. And this is Jill. This is another one of my members. Can I get arrested for not having an ID? It totally depends. It's going to be on a case-by-case basis. If you, if you're stopped in your vehicle and you're driving the vehicle and you don't have a driver's license, yeah, you could get arrested for driving without a license. Now, refusing to produce an ID when you're on the street walking around and the cops just come up to you and demand an ID, or you're engaged in a First Amendment protected activity, I would say no. But what they'll do is they'll come up with a pretextual reason to arrest you. Okay, guys? And that's the issue that we're running into. So all I can tell you is, at the end of the day, until law enforcement officers start watching my channel and start reading the Constitution and the writings of our founding fathers, and the public school systems, hopefully you homeschool your kids, because public school teachers do not teach the Constitution. They do not teach the Declaration of Independence. They definitely don't teach that the first act of the revolution was started because the king tried to seize our powder houses, tried to seize our guns. Because, you know, most public school teachers are hardcore lefties, and they think that we should all be disarmed, right? Think about that. So naturally, the hardcore communist National Education Association, the hardcore radical Marxist California Teachers Association, doesn't want young kids to know about their fundamental unalienable rights or about how the revolution was started, right? They do not want you to know that it was because the king tried to seize our powder houses, because what do all tyrants and fascists do? They want to disarm their populace, like they did in England, right? Now you can get arrested for thought crimes in England. If they were well armed, they might have had the ability to resist. Give me a bunch of ones if you think that the people in England wouldn't be getting arrested for thought crimes, and their government would have never been able to flood their country with jihadis had the people been well armed. Think about that. But of course, they do have the BBC government-run media brainwashing their citizens into thinking the government can do no wrong. So that's another problem. That's why we have a right of free speech and press. It was never intended that the government could form the narrative. But now with government-run media, which I consider CNN, PMSNBC, ABC, CBS, I believe that they're all just the same thing. They're no different than the government. They have Soros and Gates paying off these politicians, and these politicians in turn make sure that these people get their press cards and passes and privileges based upon how much they conform and obey. The press pool is basically a bunch of criminals and traitors, in my opinion. Repeat after me. The legacy media is the enemy of the American people. Repeat after me. The legacy media is the enemy of the American people. Mark my words for it. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree. So, yeah, Soros is still alive, but his name is spelled S-O-R-O-S, and he was a Hungarian Jew who helped the Nazis round up fellow Jews. And they, of course, we know they were put into concentration camps. And he says, well, I had to do it. But guess what? At the Nuremberg trials, the Nazis made that same argument, and they were hung by the neck, because the Nuremberg trials ruled that even if there is a law in place that you're upholding, there's a higher law, the law of God, basically, that you don't throw your fellow people in concentration camps and kill them. And so that defense didn't work for them. But ABC, CBS, PMSNBC, and the Democrats don't care. Unfortunately, Soros is their man. He's their man, and he helped round up fellow Jews, and that's just buried by the press. Really sad, really sad. Really disgusting, actually. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed my show. I hope you enjoy your weekend. If you guys have any other interesting topics that you want me to cover or discuss, any legal stuff, definitely, I'll cover it for you. Just email me, go to the michaeleline.com website, use the contact form, fill it out, or talk to Let's OTVO or BZ Watchdog. They know how to get a hold of me. They're my dear friends, or Brick Jonesy. But in closing, I just want you guys to know that one of the best ways to support my channel is to go to my profile. Let me just show you really quick. I got 3 screens, so sometimes it's hard for me to get the mouse on the right one. But just really, really quickly, I'm going to go ahead and just share my profile with y'all. One of the best ways for you to support my channel, guys, is to go to the YouTube channel, Michael E. Line. Hopefully, Let's OTVO is still here. Drop my link, and I'm going to drop it for you guys right now. I'm just telling you, it really helps me because, my wife has been taking my son to judo for me. And she really wants me to be doing it because I'm the father, but I'm like, hey, I got my fans, I got my show. So if she sees that at least I'm making a little bit of money to cover some of her time to take Gunny to judo, it makes it easier for me, because I'm all about being a good steward and a good husband. But here's how it works. If you go to my channel, Michael E. Line, injury attorney, you look right there. You look right there at the description where it says more, open that up and scroll down and go to the PayPal link. It's $19.99. It's only $19.99, guys. And you can get a digital version of my ebook about how I became my journey. Here, I'm going to put it up here. My journey to becoming a practicing lawyer with no law degree or undergrad. And I take you on my journey of how I found a lawyer to study under, how I passed the baby bar, how I became a practicing lawyer with no undergrad or law degree. And I talk about the other states that offer similar programs, and it's a living ebook. So it's a living ebook, which means that as I get updates, I update it through Google. It's like a Google ebook, and then it updates to your digital ebook. So you never have to worry about a volume 2. And I'm working on another book about the racist origins of the American Bar Association and law schools, how many law schools, and the ABA in particular, was run by Democrat Ku Klux Klans members. For one of the main reasons was to prevent Black people from being able to get law degrees and law licenses. So I get into that and just how terrible that was. So honestly, like for Black people who want reparations, don't try to get them from the U.S. government. Try to get them from the Democrat Party, because they were the original founders of the Ku Klux Klan. I don't understand why you're trying to get them from the U.S. government. The U.S. government fought to end slavery, and hundreds of thousands of white people died trying to help end slavery. So think about that. Well, give me a bunch of ones if you think the Democrat Party should be paying reparations, since they were the ones who started the KKK and tried to make it impossible for Black people to even get into law school. Think about that. So with that being said, yeah, thanks, what's the matter you? And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the channel. And Let's OTVO, man, I really appreciate. Look, I met Let's OTVO for the first time in Nevada. I think it was Justice Court. And we were there to support Chile de Castro. And of course, they wouldn't let us in the courtroom. And of course, I'm only 5'6", but I'm pretty buff. I work out. And so I'm thinking I'm pretty good. I got this handle. I'm going to go meet Let's OTVO. And I'm walking and I see this statue looks like he's about as tall as Shaquille O'Neal. I'm like, holy crap. And the first thing he says to me is, I thought you'd be taller. But give me a bunch of ones for Let's OTVO for flying all the way out from out of state to come and support Chile de Castro. And I want to thank all you guys for supporting Chile when no one else believed in them and just, went along with the administrative state and all the lies that the frauditors told about them. And how amazing was it that we shut up Merb and all those scumbags, right? We shut all those scumbags up and he got his case reversed on appeal. And they're still like deer in the headlights because they knew for sure that Chile was going down, and they were so happy. Even though he was falsely arrested, they were so happy. And that's an example of why I don't believe in democracy. And that's why our founding fathers didn't believe in democracy. All of our founding fathers despised democracy. And we've talked about this before. But in the republic, the rights of the individual are above the rights of the mob. In a democracy, here's the difference. In a democracy, two wolves and a sheep can show up for lunch and decide what's on the menu. In a republic, a well-armed sheep can show up and contest the vote. That's the difference. That's Ben Franklin, by the way. I think that's a direct quote from Ben Franklin. But all of our founding fathers, without reservation, detested democracy. And now all the leftist college professors and even Republican senators and congressmen, they keep talking about our democracy this, democracy that. None of our founding fathers wanted us to be a democracy. They always believed in binding the government with the chains of the Constitution. The whole purpose of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights was to limit the power of government and to make sure that the government recognized the Republican form of government that empowered the individual. No minority can have any rights until the rights of the individual are respected. And that's the difference between a republic and a democracy. And I support a republic, the constitutional republic. And I believe that you should too. Give me a bunch of ones for our founding fathers in the constitutional republic and this great experiment that we have that's given us over 300 years of freedom now. Well, it's gotten worse, Jekyll Island and the billionaires who destroyed our currency. And now we have a fiat currency. But who knows? Maybe we'll be able to abolish after this next election the income tax and get rid of fiat currency and go back to a gold-based currency, which is what our Constitution actually says we're supposed to have, a currency that's backed by something of intrinsic value, not the promises of a bunch of lying politicians. Give me a bunch of ones if you believe in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights like I do. Now, and BZ Watchdog, I know you want to talk to me, but give me at least 20 minutes after the show, brother. I will take your call. I just got to get some chow. I'm freaking starving. But BZ Watchdog and I are working on some stuff together, guys. Give me a bunch of ones for BZ Watchdog and make sure to click on his profile and go to his channel. He is one of the most amazing First Amendment auditors that I've ever met. BZ Watchdog's strength is public records requests. So if you're a lawyer even, and you're having a hard time getting public records requests, whether they're federal or state, a BZ Watchdog will do it probably for a lot less than a lawyer would, and he'll help you. And he's a genuine former inactive U.S. Marine like me, a legit dude. And I want you to support his channel as well. And yeah, that's right. No, I will pick up the phone, brother. And yeah, 30 minutes top. Just give me a chance to get some chow, brother. That's all. I just want to eat. And then, yeah, make sure to double tap. And I'm asking you one more time as a favor, guys, once the show is over tonight and it's over, go to the comment thing and make sure to press the like button and comment. Give me some comments and go to my shorts too, guys. Comment on my shorts and make sure to always press save, because I do like these 2 and 3 hour videos. They're so awesome for people who are truckers or people who travel a lot. You can listen to these shows and really learn a lot, because I always talk about the law, talk a little bit about our heritage as Americans and why we should be proud of being Americans. So it's better than listening to the Communist News Network or these scumbags at CBS who are just clearly political leftist partisans, and they care nothing about you or your rights. All they care about is just their $1 million a year salaries, making sure those billionaires like Bill Gates can buy up all the farmland. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree. So with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because you never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. And Semper Fi, do or die.